Hello and welcome to this episode of The Inner Estate. Today, I am so excited and thrilled to have Deb Pearlman as my guest. She is an author, a trainer, a speaker, a consultant, and a high-level coach, a business coach, actually across a lot of industries. So, Deb, welcome and thank you for being my guest.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited for this conversation.
Well, I'm excited for this conversation too, because we are jumping into like the transformative power of actually turning your vision inwards rather than outwards to see what you can learn about yourself to create true and lasting change. Frankly, not just in your business, but in your overall life, right? So we talk about an exciting topic. Can you
Absolutely.
share, like, what does this mean to you?
My gosh. So this is a really, really big, huge part of my life. And what I've come to understand is that it really impacts so many other people. And just to give you a quick background. So I used to live in New York. I was on the hamster wheel. I had a lot of what we call adrenaline, right? And I was like, we got to go, go do and be busy and call and make appointments and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, I was balancing family also. And yet my priority was really focused on creating the business and being successful and making the money so that we can go on family vacations. And I was doing it all in my head for the family, right? And the other part of this is I was doing it alone. I was doing it by myself because I thought, I have to, right? So,
It sounds like you had gumption.
well, there's a good word. I like that. Thank you. I had a lot of it in spades. And sometimes, okay, so when you come from where I came from, my family, the background, we didn't have a lot of spirituality. And I'm not talking religion. I'm talking that just belief in something greater than ourselves, right? And some people call it God, some people call it the source, some people say the universe. Doesn't matter what you call it. Everybody's got their way of, putting it into whatever category they need to, right? For me, it's the universe. So I had a lot of lessons. We all do. And sometimes you have to deal with adversity. And I truly believe that dealing with adversity helps you to grow and learn and expand. And from that, you experience things that help you to be a better human being, right? And one lesson that I obviously wasn't learning is that I was not supposed to be doing it by myself for myself. I was supposed to. My purpose, my mission is actually to be in service to others. Okay, so here we go. Now, back in the day, if I had said that to you or somebody said your purpose is to be in service to others, I would have been like, that's not my purpose.
Right,
No,
right,
that's not for me. It's like,
right.
right? It's like, no, I'm not here to be in service because to me, I thought that that was belittling myself and putting myself, beneath others.
Less than, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So you get it, right? So when the universe is giving you these opportunities and things are showing up in your life and you're not taking advantage of them, eventually the universe is like, all right, I gotta do something serious here because this person is not paying attention to me.
Right.
So we went through some financial situations. We had some relationship issues in the house, and I got laid off from a really great job that I loved. And it all happened at exactly the same time, divine timing. And it really knocked me on my butt, right? And I really had to look inward. So when you mentioned in the intro that it's about turning the camera on ourselves. And I think that's a really difficult thing to do for
Yes.
most of us, right?
Yes.
And it's like, okay, so what does that mean? And what if I don't like what I see?
Right.
And then what do I do with what I see? So Jack Canfield is somebody who I did a lot of studying with. And he has a saying that E plus R equals O. The events and your responses to it equals the outcome. E plus R equals O. And so I realized, and he even said, the only thing that we can control is our reactions to things.
Right.
So I had to take a breath and I actually started to meditate and pray. And I really needed help because we were about to lose our house. I wasn't working. My husband and I were when finances are tight and you have 3 children and you're trying to put food on the table, life is not easy, right? So I prayed and I meditated and I asked for help, and I just found this organization called Braveheart Women, and she's not running it anymore. She did it for like, I don't know, 15 years. And in my book, OOMPH, I mentioned that I meet a spiritual leader and a woman who, by the way, I stayed away from relationships with women because I had another whole story. We can go into another time. Trusting and believing that there were women out there who weren't trying to manipulate me or control me or to hurt me or be mean to me was a very difficult thing. And the spiritual leader came into my life. And so this is when my New York brain,
Right.
who was still adrenalized, right, but still looking for help, said, oh, this is woo-woo, right? Because
That's
woohoo,
right.
woohoo, whatever people call it, right? It's like, well,
Airy
spiritual,
fairy.
yeah, fairy. Okay, so that's a good,
Mhm.
something just like that. So I end up going to California. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know anybody that was there. This thing showed up on my computer, like, you have to come to this conference. And I figured it out and I found the money and I got a discount. I shared a room with some stranger and I went, and it was a room of, I don't know, 1,500 women coming from New York, being adrenalized, and then having to walk into a room and it's all women, shapes, sizes, ages, races, creeds, colors, whatever. We were all a big melting pot,
Right.
and probably closer to 2,000. And the woman's name, the spiritual leader, was Ellie Drake. And there was just something about her that I knew that I was supposed to learn from her. And they say when the student is ready, the master appears.
Absolutely.
I spent 11 years working with her, and we had some small group work. We did some other work, and I learned a lot of my NLP. All of it actually came from that. I didn't even know that that's what I was learning. We were doing things called cellular release, memory release. We were doing
Yes.
all kinds of shifting of the mindset. We were learning how to find our voice and to stand up for ourselves in a way that wasn't aggressive, but that was assertive. We we learned how to just be feminine, which I hadn't been, because remember, I was Deborah from New York. I was right.
Mhm.
And it softened my edges. That whole experience, it lasted for about 11 years. It softened my edges and allowed me to do the release work that helped me to expand and grow into who I am today and what I do. So as a coach and as a human being, it really allows me the opportunity to be much more empathetic, not sympathetic, empathetic, right? And I'm very much in tune with my intuition, my higher self. I listen to that. We all have that little voice in our heads, and sometimes we ignore it. I've learned to tune that in and sharpen it. And I absolutely 100% come from a place of service and love. And when I can help anybody move their life forward, even just a little bit, and sometimes it's been grand strides,
Huge. Right.
that to me is that's how I measure my success now, is the impact that I'm having on other people. Big shift.
So take me back to that day when you walked into that room. I am making an assumption that that was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, you'd be 100% correct. Unbelievably overwhelming and very easy to want to just stand in the back against the wall. I'm going to tell you a really amazing story. So Ellie had all of us, all the women. There was no chairs and there was no tables. We didn't know what to expect. She's on stage. There's some woo-woo music playing. Beautiful. It was actually beautiful. And we all walk into this room and the lights are dim. They're not dark, but they're dim. And there's no place to sit. We all have our pads and our pens. We're like ready for,
Your bags, yeah, your bottles of water and your coffee ready to go. Yeah.
we were all caffeinated because we had just been online at Starbucks.
Right.
So we go into this room and we're all looking around and we're like, and we're all like, and we don't know each other, right? So we're all like, where's the chairs and tables? Like, did they forget something? Or are we in the right room? Where are
Right.
we? So all of a sudden, Ellie's voice comes on and she starts laughing. And she says, yes, the tables and chairs have been removed. She said, you'll understand why in a few minutes. She said, just have faith, have faith in the process. Let go of the need to control. This was my first lesson with her, right? Let go of the need to control. Let go of your preconceived notions based on your past experiences. This is going to be a completely new environment and a completely new experience. So she said, just put your stuff down by a wall and come into the center of the room. 1,500 to 2,000 of us are standing in the middle of the room. We're not holding anything. So some of us need to have something in our hands. So we're like trying to figure out what to do with our hands. So I did at least feel like at least I wasn't the only one who was
Only
having this
one, yes. Right.
very strange experience. And she said, okay, so now line up facing each other. And she had like 10 women on stage, and there was 5 of them in one row facing, and like 3 feet away, there was another row of women facing that way. And she said, we want you to do that. And like magic. There was no ushers. There was no women helping us to, well, there might have been actually 1 or 2, but for the most part, the women kind of got it. And the next thing we know, we're like standing face to face, eye to eye with a strange woman, right across from us, maybe 2 to 3 feet away. And she walked us through this exercise. And we had to do it with 5 women. So we would do this exercise facing this one woman. And then they would shift one to the right, and then we would do it with the next woman, and they should shift another step
Wow.
to the right. And it was about looking each other in the eye. How many times do strange women do that? And releasing any judgments, releasing any thoughts in our head, because sometimes we have those ugly thoughts and we're judgmental of others, right? And it was just letting it go until it passed and really seeing deep into the woman's soul through her eyes. And then you do a hug. You're hugging this woman, and then that's how she created the sisterhood. From the very first exercise on the first day of that conference.
Right from the walking into the room.
Yeah. It was, she didn't talk about it. She didn't say, this is what we're going to do. She didn't
Right.
say, be prepared. She just, and I think maybe 2 women in the whole group left. Everybody else stayed. Yeah. It was impactful. It was impactful. And one thing that she said is that there's a spirituality about looking in at ourselves and about growing from the inside out. And how, yes, it helps your business, it helps your family, it helps all of that, the universe as a whole. She said, but the most important thing is that it helps womanhood become more sisterhood. And that's what's going to keep this world and our universe cohesive. And she felt very strongly about that. And so that's what I learned. So completely opposite of where I had come from, completely opposite of my experience up until that point. And by the way, I was already in my mid-30s by the time
Right.
this, yeah, yeah. So it was pretty amazing, pretty amazing.
I think that's remarkable. Did you end up attending more of her events over those 11 years when you were
Yeah.
involved?
So, but that was the first one. And then from there was opportunities to go to other conferences and then to do smaller group settings and be in a
Mhm.
mastermind group with her. Um, and there was an investment. She didn't do it for free, right?
Right.
And the money also paid for things like she brought 10 women. I was not one of them. She brought 10 women into Israel, and they actually met, I believe it was in Gaza. And they also brought 10 women, Palestinian women, in to a space. And she did the same exercise with the 10 Israeli women and the 10 Palestinian women, where it was the Israelis, the Palestinians, and the story, because I wasn't there, so it's secondhand. The story is that the women, when they first started and they came into the room, and the Israeli women were on one side of the room, the Palestinian women were on the other. They didn't really want to talk to each other because of, and this is
Right.
well before what's currently happening now. It was probably just before 2011. So maybe It was probably 2009, 2010, if not before. And she had the women across from each other and doing the exercise, and they just talked. They just shared that neither side wanted the war. Neither side wanted to be losing their sons, their husbands, their fathers, their brothers. And the women on both sides wanted it to end, right?
Mhm.
So by the end of the trip, she said they were all hugging and they were all friendly. And then she flew them all into the United States. And the one conference that did take place on 2011, November 11th, it was 11, 11, 11, November 11th
Mhm.
of 2011. And they
Okay.
were in California. And that's a big number. 11/11 has a lot of significance.
Right.
Spiritual. So they flew into a conference center and she had them recreate the same exercise. And we didn't know that this was happening. And she had the Palestinian women on stage facing the Israeli women, and she walked them through the same exact exercise that we had all been doing every time we met at a conference. When you see that, when you see the impact of what really just breaking down those judgments and breaking down the barriers and just really seeing people for who they are and looking deep into their soul and knowing that they're just as frustrated, just as challenged, and then they find joy in the same things that you do.
Right.
It's very humbling. And you realize that we're really not here alone and we're not meant to be on this journey alone. So it really changes the perspectives on everything.
Well, how did that show up for you? So when you say we're not meant to be alone, and prior to this breakthrough, you were very much about, I'm doing it myself. If I want it done right, I'm just going to do it. That's the best and the most efficient. And I don't need leverage. I can do this on my own. I know I'm paraphrasing there. Tell me if I was off anywhere, but you had that feeling. And then you were like, wait, there's power in not being alone. What's one of the first invitations you made to someone to come into your life and help?
Well, okay, so that's a great question. There's different aspects. So at home, it was my husband.
Okay,
That
good.
was, and yeah, and it started with actually seeing him and his inner child, seeing him as his 8-year-old or 9-year-old self, and understanding that the fears of the child were still embedded in the fears of the man.
Yes.
So thank you for that. That's where it started. And understanding that the growth of for myself would ripple out to my family first, which it has. My husband actually, trust my intuition now. We're married 38 years, so it's been it's been it's been a lesson, a long time lesson. He would never have, and I didn't, because I didn't trust my intuition. I didn't trust my judgment. So he didn't. He didn't have any reason to. So as soon as I started to really believe in myself and to find my voice and to understand that I I have a purpose on this earth and it starts at home, and that's where it started. That was the first.
Hmm.
My husband was first. And then my children, the relationships with the boys. I have 3 sons. They're all men now. They're grown men. And then from there, it was then, okay, business. So what do I do now? So now I'm on my own. I have this business. I'm being successful. I have fits and starts. I'm successful. Then I get to a plateau and I can't. And what's interesting is before I had this, I don't know if you want to call it life changing epiphany, or
Yeah.
before that, I had always been drawn to companies that were dysfunctional. Well, guess why? My clients were, and I love my clients, but for the most part, there was always some kind of static tension.
Right.
I get through this whole process. I'm starting to really lean into who I am, using my intuition more, finding my voice and using it in a way that is not to make others wrong and me right, not to make others look bad or take advantage. It's looking for the win-win situation and, the solution that's going to benefit the majority as much as
Right.
possible. And I have this opportunity to work for a global company. And I have to tell you, it's the largest client that I was blessed to ever work with. And it was the first company that I worked with that was the culture from the top down was supportive. The culture was healthy. It was, how can we grow as a team? How can we grow this business? How can we keep our clients happy? How do we keep our employees happy? And the women that I came into contact with, at least, were very, what can we do to help you? What could we do to help you be more successful? How can we support you? And I have to tell you, at first I was like, is this real?
What are they up to?
Because I know they didn't go to Ellie's, Braveheart Women. Right. I know they didn't go to that. I mean, are people really like this? Are women really like this? Like, this is like a whole new world now. Because when you're in this conference and you're in this workshop and you're in this training, you're surrounded by this warmth and this love and this supportive environment. And then how does that translate now? How do you take that and actually bring that into the world? And
Right.
right? Because not everybody was in that room with you.
Right. Yeah.
So it took me a little while to really trust, and I grew from that. And I have to tell you, from the top down, from the CEO, and this is a global company that's still around, extremely successful. From the top down, the culture was, yes, we want to create the business. Yes, we all want to be prosperous, and we all want to do the job that needs to get done. And we're going to do it and create the culture that really serves humanity.
That's
And
great.
yeah, 2.5 years, that was my biggest client. And it was my first taste of, wow, this is really possible. It's amazing.
So sounds almost like you took a very successful collegiate athlete and turned them into an elite or Olympic track. Like you took someone who was an organization that was already operating well above average, and you helped make it that next level of even stronger.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
That's great. I mean, that had to be very satisfying for you.
I was given an opportunity, and I never took it for granted. And the people that I met were amazing. And the most important thing is I got to be an entrepreneur inside that organization. And I
Mhm.
got to experience how to leverage my time, how to use others in a way that supported the whole group. So I didn't have to do everything myself. There was a whole team of people that would help create the events, that would help market the events, that would help, figure out the hotel reservation, whatever was happening. Right. And I didn't have, because I was used to doing that myself, because as an entrepreneur, we wear the CEO hat, we wear the manager hat, and we wear the technician hat, according to Michael Gerber's E-Myth, right?
Right.
So I was doing it all because I thought that's what I had to. I didn't understand delegation. I didn't understand. And it's so interesting because sometimes it still shows up in my clients, but now I recognize it. Because when people say, I can't delegate, I don't know how to delegate. It's not always about the control. It's about that belief that you have to do it yourself,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because so it's different. You have a team. You understand that.
Yes.
Yeah. You have a great team, by the way.
There's that benefit too, where you actually see the benefit when you truly authorize and allow someone to perform, how great that makes them feel about themselves, and how, like, it impacts their self-esteem when they feel as if you trusted them enough to hand over that control and to allow them to succeed as well as fall on their face. And then you were still there to pick them up. That is a gift that as leaders we give to those around us in our world.
Yeah. The best thing that I think, the best thing, I want to change it to the greatest thing. The greatest gift, like you just said, is allowing others to fail forward,
Yes.
guiding them, and just, telling them, brush off your bootstraps and get back up again. Yeah. And I think the controlling part, sometimes it's enabling. So that's where that NLP comes in. It's like, why? Like, what's behind? Is it a need to control? Is it a need to, and the way it showed up for me was, it was definitely, it was a lot of things. It was trust. I had major trust issues. right?
Mhm.
To trust others. And then the other part is, okay, now if I let go of control, will it be as good or better than,
Right.
and it always turned out better. Whoever I delegate to now, it's like, you know what was I ever thinking? They do a better job than I ever could. They're the expert in this area. Why was I trying so hard to do something
Mhm.
that, right? So that shows up in our business lives. And then when I was managing a team, it was understanding that these individuals were human beings and understanding that they also have a purpose and a mission on this earth. And it was about being not just an effective communicator, it was being an effective listener and asking the
Yes.
questions, right? It's both. It's both. So it's just been an amazing, amazing journey. I'm going to share this with you and anyone who's watching. I turn 61 next week. Actually, this week,
Yay.
the 27th. What day is that? Sunday.
Excellent.
Yeah, I turned 61. And I have to say that in my 61 years on this earth, I have grown enormously. And there's a part of me that wishes I had learned all of this much sooner. But then the part of me that understands that the timing is divine. And
Yes.
had Ellie come into my life sooner, I probably just would have brushed it off.
There might have been 3 women that left the conference, not 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, it's
Yes. That's right.
yeah. Demanding a refund, and how unprofessional were they to not even have a setup where we could, yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that is a great reminder of the timing is perfect. And it happened when it was meant to be for you.
Absolutely. 100%. So the way that it shows up in my work now, so I didn't know that I was going to be a coach. I was selling. And then I became a sales manager. And in the sales manager position, you're teaching others how to. And I
Yes.
really enjoyed that. And I really found that that was where my heart really was in the teaching. And then I
Mhm.
started doing training and I started getting asked to do bigger trainings and come into bigger events and it's the teaching aspect and the sharing for me, that's my wheelhouse and that's my true passion.
It's
And I would
amazing.
not have found it. Thank you. I wouldn't have found it if I hadn't gone through all of what I went through, right? So
Well, I feel like you're a real inspiration for anyone out there that may feel stagnant or stuck, or maybe they're wrapped up in their own self-image and ego.
mhm.
As you and I know, many times when people will not let go of control and use leverage in a powerful way as a leader, it's because they're so concerned about what if they make me look bad? So if anyone out there is stuck in that, what would you recommend is something they could do right now to start allowing change in their perspective, change in their belief and their trust? What's a step they could take now to
I
shift out of that stagnation?
okay. Are you talking about uh well, I guess it could be with work or home, right?
Work or home, absolutely.
Okay. So the very first thing I would say is, and I always start with my clients like this, allow a breath and just take a pause. And the very first thing and the most important thing is really just to be in observance of who you are in this moment. And then just make this conscious decision that the next time you find yourself doing something that you don't want to be doing, or that you know someone else could be doing better than you, or even if it's not better than you. Like I'm using the example of my husband folding laundry. So,
Yes. Yes.
and I love him very much, and he does a great job most of the time, but not with my stuff. But so, and it's okay. You know what? Just it's one less thing I have to do. It gives him the opportunity. And here's the other thing. When you allow someone to do something for you or your business or for themselves, first of all, it's giving them pride and dignity and a job well done.
Yes.
The second thing is you're allowing them to give. Just think about that. You're allowing somebody else to give. And that is so powerful because by you doing everything, all you're doing is giving, and you're not allowing, first of all, you're not allowing yourself to receive. Like
Right.
some people think they don't deserve that. And you're not allowing someone else to give to
To
you.
give.
So it's a barrier. And that's a wall that we create unconsciously because we think we don't have, no, it's okay. I don't need that. It's okay. You don't have to do that. I got it. Well, stop it. Stop it.
Right.
That's the advice. Stop it.
Stop it. There you go. I like that. Yeah, you are right. And we label it. We wrap it up in these different labels of like, oh, Deb, I don't want to impose on you. But really that's me saying like, I'm controlling all this stuff. We come up with these clever ways of packaging it to make it to hide some of the negatives of it. I mean, really, not to start a whole nother conversation. But when someone is truly not delegating and allowing someone else to give and create and all the things that come with that, there's a little bit of condescension in it. There's no way you could do it as good as I can. Even if you don't say that, that can be some of the unspoken messaging. You're not able or sufficient to, to do this. There's a lot of negative messaging wrapped up.
Like 100%. And they're disconnecting because what'll happen is eventually that person will stop trying. They'll just
That's right.
stop.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes they will look for someone who will allow them to give. Here, I'll use a cliche. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Like when you give the gift of allowing someone to give, that is something that is remarkably powerful.
Yeah.
So it makes you a stronger leader, not a weaker leader when you actually embrace that. What would you say to anyone who might be listening to this conversation and they have a real fear that, oh, I've been doing all this myself for so long, and if I let someone else do it, they're not going to do it the same way I will, and then my experience with my clients won't be the same, or my results won't be the same. If they have a real fear around that, and then they hear you and I say, you allow them to fail forward, and they think, whoa, that they're just scared of that failure and the failing forward. Any words of wisdom that you could share for someone who's having a real fear around that?
So the fear is perceived as real and it can really put somebody in a freeze. We have three ways of reacting to things. We can freeze, we can go into flight, right? And so most of the time it's either freeze or flight with this one. So what helped me was just starting to wrap my head around what exactly is it that I can give to somebody that would be a baby step, just a baby step. Maybe write out what I call, so in business, we call them SOPs, standard operating procedures.
Yes.
I've been a little left brain. Okay, we've been right brain for most of the conversation. So on the left brain, standard operating procedures, SOPs, what I explain to clients is it's like writing a recipe book. And you're writing the recipe, and every single ingredient has to be in there and it has to be exact because otherwise your outcome is not going to be, your souffle will flatten. Is that what it does? It flattens?
Yeah.
What is this?
Fall.
If you don't,
Yeah.
it falls. Okay. Your souffle will fall. Okay. So just start with something simple and then just give it to somebody who you have the time and the energy and the patience to teach, and give them the SOP, give them the steps, and have them do a couple and have them come back and say to you, is this what you want? Is this what it looks like? Is this correct? And you just manage it. Delegating does not mean you give it away and never look
Correct.
at it.
Right.
So what you have to do is you have to inspect what you expect. Managing means allowing others to do and to check in with you just to confirm that they're on the right road. And remember, they're learning too, and they don't know what's in your head. Only you do. So writing it down and putting it and creating that cookbook, the SOP manual,
Right.
gives that person and persons the opportunity to learn your systems, your processes, the way that you want things done, And also, it gives them an opportunity to perhaps enhance it, because one of the best things a leader can do is surround themselves with people who are better at whatever than they are
Yes.
themselves.
Yes. I think that is a great first step. So
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I could talk about this for hours. I'm sure you could as well. I want to thank you for sharing such personal revelations of the impact this has had, not just at work and with your entire career, and truly discovering that passion of being a coach and that inner satisfaction that gives you spark and desire and keeps you growing as a coach and your skills sharp. Do you have any final thoughts on the topic that you'd like to share?
No, I think the most important thing is can I plug my book for a quick second?
Absolutely. I would love
Just,
that.
just really quick, just really quick. So I have a book, and if I didn't have an editor and her team kick my butt, I would probably not have the book, because I knew enough to delegate what I wasn't going to do on my own. And the book is called OOMPH, OOMPH. And the very first O stands for just being an observation. And so if anyone is looking to make any changes in their life, because we are the captain of our ship, we do have the opportunity every day, every moment, to make decisions that will change our results and our outcomes. The
Right.
very first step is allow that breath, just sit back, get off the hamster wheel, and watch your life and look at your circumstances in all of your areas of your life, and really see where you want to make some shifts and maybe some enhancements, and be in observance of that with no judgment. Don't say, well, I should have done this, and why did I do that? And that shouldn't have been. No,
Right.
stop that. Just observe. No judgment. And just be in that. And just observe. Just observe. And things will come to you. So give yourself that gift. That would be my,
That's awesome.
yeah, that would.
Okay. Well, Deb, this has been great. You and I are both, we are colleagues now because we are both coaches with different specialties at the Coaching Nexus. And I'm so thrilled to be working alongside you as we are working on impacting people's lives. If anyone is interested in having a session with either of us or to learn more about what we're doing at the Coaching Nexus, there's a QR code you can scan. If you're listening to this auditory only, you can reach out to me at Bridget Stuart 61 at gmail.com. Deb, what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you?
Probably via email. It's really easy. Debra, Debra, at Deb, Deb Pearlman, Pearlman.com. Really easy.
Excellent. Yes. So this was fantastic. I hope you'll come back and join me again
I
on
will.
another
I really
episode of The
appreciate
Inner
it.
Estate.
Absolutely. And just so you know, and I so appreciate this opportunity, and I appreciate your time.
And
Thank
I
you.
appreciate yours as well. So thank you. And I hope I'll see you again. Join us for the next episode of The Inner Estate. Have a great day.